elect new leadership, but there are reports that there's been some drama there. In fact, let's see those images now of the voting process. As you can see from your screens there, that's inside the Pan-African Parliament, which is in Midrand, just north of Johannesburg. And in this session now that we're watching, Kirshni, we're hoping that a new president of the Pan-African Parliament will be elected.
There was some talk that these elections might not actually go ahead and might not happen, and EFF leader Julius Malema was very vocal this morning, including Chief Mandla Mandela and other Anglophone MPs trying to get their way to oust the controversial president, or current president rather. Malema told news editors in Johannesburg that they did plan to pass a motion of no confidence in current presidents, that's Roger Nkodo before these elections. Now the president did fail to present that much needed activity report, and he does face corruption allegations as well.
Yes, so this voting is already underway. As you can see, members of parliament there are busy voting for a new president, a new leadership in the Pan-African Parliament. And Ndang himself has put himself forward again for re-election as president of the Pan-African Parliament. But there are issues also about the same region being represented so many times, and that there's an unwritten rule that flows from the mother body, the African Union, that it should be rotated across the continent. And so there will be certainly concern about Ndang, who's facing these charges that you're talking about, running again for the presidency of the Pan-African Parliament. And you'll know that this week 72 new members of Parliament were elected, including the one that you spoke about just now, Julius Malema, as very much a part of that now.
Yes, well, yesterday Muntaka Mubarak from Ghana and Chief Mandla Mandela from South Africa said they would lobby caucuses to demand that Parliament activity report be presented before these elections. Well, Malema says Parliament is led, this Parliament is led by a corrupt president, and this means more MPs will come around and agree with this view. But it's not yet clear if Francophone and Central Africa countries which were instrumental in backing Nkodo, you remember, will agree.
Yeah, so the Pan-African Parliament busy deciding on its leadership, but it's a body that's certainly not without its challenges. Amongst them has been, for years and years now, is actually funding this body. That's one of the issues. And the other, the fact that they don't have what we call real kind of enforceable powers. So they come up with decisions, they pass motions in this House, but they can't really enforce them. They're widely regarded as an advisory body, and this is a concern. An agreement was signed, a protocol was signed at Malabo to try and give this body more power.
Yes.
However, not one country has yet ratified that, and it can't happen without the ratification of all the countries. So, you know, whilst they're busy voting in a new presidency here, the real big issues, again, is finances. It's what do they do in terms of real power? So perhaps a lot of this more is ceremony rather than something that people at home can say tangibly, what can the Pan-African Parliament do for us?
Yes, well, yesterday we did hear from former South African President Kgalema Motlanthe. He made a really strong plea to African heads of state to go ahead and commit resources and time and effort to fight against the scourge of HIV and other health-related issues on the continent. He also urged the continent to commit to end the AIDS scourge as a public health threat, setting a deadline of 2030, which is not so far away, less than 15 years. Of course, he was addressing African MPs just yesterday at this Parliament, the session which is underway right now in Midrand, north of Johannesburg.
Yeah, we should be hearing, I suppose, in the not too not too long from now, who the new leadership will be for the Pan-African Parliament. And this, what you're witnessing, is the ordinary session of the Pan-African Parliament. And this year's session theme is winning the fight against corruption, a sustainable path to Africa's transformation. So big issues being discussed.
And it has been a highly charged one, 14 years on. This started
indeed.
Back in March 2004. Well, we'll be bringing you regular updates as we dip into proceedings in Midrand, north of Johannesburg. So do stay locked on to the SABC News channel.